You know that feeling when you meet someone and it's just instant, like you've known them forever. Or maybe you've heard one of those stories, a chance meeting that seems way too perfect to be just a coincidence. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to look at these incredible stories of love that feel like they were guided by something bigger, some kind of beautiful serendipity that proves some connections are just meant to be.
Wow. I mean, that really gets to the heart of it, right? This idea that there are these invisible threads connecting us to certain people. Threads that are so strong they can survive years and distance and just about anything life decides to throw at them. It's a really powerful thought, and it's the core of every story we're about to explore.
So, where do these epic love stories even start? It almost always comes down to one single undeniable moment. You know, that spark. But what's so cool is that the spark can look and feel totally different for everyone.
Okay, let's talk about Jeremy. He had this whole idea in his head of who he was supposed to be with. But then he sees Emily, and she is the complete opposite of his type. Tattoos, piercings, the whole deal. His friends were even giving him a hard time about it. But in that moment, none of that mattered. He just felt this pull, this feeling that this person was about to completely change his world.
But see, a spark doesn't always have to hit you like a lightning bolt. For Mark, meeting Samantha was the exact opposite of a shock. It felt like coming home. The conversation just flowed. It was so easy, so comfortable. It was like they were old friends picking up right where they left off. It just goes to show you that deep connection can show up in some very different ways.
What both of these stories are really describing is this idea of a magnetic pull. You know that feeling? It's that sense that the universe itself is kind of giving you a little nudge towards someone. And a perfect example of this is Sophie and Larry. From the second they met, they felt this intense, undeniable force drawing them together. They just knew they were brought together for a reason.
This just captures it perfectly. For Sophie and Larry, it wasn't just, oh, they're cute. It was an instant meeting of minds. Can you imagine feeling completely, totally understood by someone you literally just met? That's a huge sign that something special is going on.
Okay, so the spark is amazing. But a connection being fated definitely doesn't mean it's going to be easy. In fact, in a lot of these stories, fate seems to throw in some major challenges, almost like it's testing just how strong those invisible threads really are.
8 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That's how long one of our couples was apart after their first, very brief encounter. They were both in bad relationships, so they just went their separate ways. Think about how much can happen in 8 years. You can build a whole new life, become a totally different person. For a connection to survive that, it's got to be something else.
And what's so important to remember is that those 8 years weren't just wasted time. As you can see here, life happened. They went through heartbreaks, they grew, they learned things about themselves. You could even argue that all those different experiences were what they needed to get them ready for the moment they'd finally meet again.
But here's the thing, physical distance isn't the only obstacle. Sometimes the biggest challenges are the ones we're carrying around inside of us. This is a really key point. The journey isn't just about finding someone out there in the world. It's about being ready for them inside yourself.
For Sophie and Larry, the couple with that instant magnetic pull, their challenge wasn't about finding each other again. It was about finding the courage to really be vulnerable. They each had to deal with their own pasts, face their fears and insecurities, and learn how to be truly honest. Their test wasn't about distance, it was about bravery.
And this is where it gets really magical. After all the tests of time and distance and personal growth, you get these incredible reunion moments. The moments where it feels like the universe is finally saying, okay, now you're ready.
I mean, how beautifully ordinary is that? A gas station, after years of trying to move on, living in different places, one couple just happens to pull into the same gas station at the same time. It's so simple, but when you think about the odds, it's hard not to see a little bit of magic in that, right?
And here we have the reunion for the couple who were apart for 8 long years. And this one feels like something straight out of a movie. A rainy day in May. He sees her, and yeah, she looks different, but he sees this new wisdom in her eyes. It was on that day that they finally got the second chance the universe had been saving for them.
This is just so powerful. The guy in that story found out later that years before, after a string of bad relationships, she had actually prayed for a man who would love her for exactly who she was. And then, there he was, standing right in front of her on that rainy day. That just takes it from coincidence to a whole other level. It feels destined.
So, after the spark, the tests, and that incredible reunion, what's the result? Well, all these stories describe a very similar, very powerful feeling, the sense of finally finding a piece of yourself you didn't even realize was gone.
This quote just nails it. It's not about being an incomplete person needing someone else to fix you. It's about finding a connection that unlocks a better, more true version of yourself. It's that feeling of the last puzzle piece clicking into place, and suddenly the whole picture makes sense.
And you can see this amazing transformation in all the stories. Before, there was this feeling that something wasn't quite right, a history of relationships that just didn't fit. And after, a sense of wholeness, of finding the one, and crucially, having a partner to face everything with, making you both stronger together.
This takes that idea of being whole even deeper. For Sophie and Larry, finding their missing piece wasn't just about feeling happy. It was about growth. They were like mirrors for each other, helping each other see themselves clearly, the good and the bad, so they could become the best people they could possibly be.
And this is what it all leads to. From that first magnetic pull, through all the internal struggles, to becoming mirrors for each other, they get to this moment of total union where they are completely sure they've found their other half, the piece they'd been looking for all along.
And this brings us right back to Jeremy and Emily, the couple who seemed so different on the surface. Their story is just this perfect reminder that sometimes the person you're fated to be with isn't the one who checks all your boxes. It's the one who comes along and shatters the box completely. Which leaves us with the million-dollar question, doesn't it? Are these stories just a bunch of happy accidents and lucky breaks, or are they proof of those unseen threads of some kind of destiny pulling two souls together no matter what? Maybe the answer is that it's a little bit of both. What do you think?